Howdy, Denon Tennant here at Information Highwayman. You are watching Friday's Ace of Spades website review, and today the question is how to use several large images above the fold, that is, above the section of your screen that you can't see beneath, and still have room for copy. This is a problem that plagues many websites where visual interest is important because their products are primarily visual. And we're going to be looking at this question courtesy of jamesbellphotography.co.uk, which makes a good case study. So let's have a look at it now. Here it is in all its glory. Now you'll know if you've watched this before that I use a checklist to see whether a website is going to get good conversion rates or not. The checklist is called food, because I like food. First impressions is F. And on this website, the first impressions are a bit of a mixed bag. The masthead looks good, although I question the use of the font Trajan, because it's thoroughly overused. In fact, if you would take a moment now to go to your bookshelf, you can pause this video, have a look on your bookshelf at the first 3 books that you find, and at least one of them will have Trajan as the title font. That's how overused it is. It's also used in pretty much every movie poster ever. So I would suggest to James that in the interests of snobbishness he change it, but otherwise it's an excellent, elegant font which fits in well with the site, so I can't really complain. Colours are pleasing and professional, and the photo looks good. It's obviously a photography site, so the photo fits right in and it looks really good. However, the layout is poor. The photo is kind of just tacked on there next to the text, and the text looks like it's really squished up against the left margin to accommodate the photo. And I will get into that in a little more detail in a moment, because it's kind of the reason for this particular review. Next up is orientation. Orientation involves the question, where am I? In this case, the question isn't particularly difficult. You're at James Bell Photography. James Bell Photography is clearly a place that does photography, so it's not too much of an issue here. We don't have any major problems in terms of orientation because the masthead itself is very self-explanatory. However, there are other elements which add orientation which are not done right here. So if you've got your own website and your masthead is not self-explanatory, or you've got a website which has a somewhat more esoteric or difficult to understand purpose, and a masthead isn't enough, make sure that you also get your headline correct. Your headline needs to give some cue as to what you do. If your masthead is not sufficient, you might also want to add some kind of a tagline or explanation underneath, but in this case it's not too important. Next up is objectives. Objectives deal with what the user can do on your site. What can a user do on this site? Scrolling down, not very much. In fact, the only thing that really sticks out, aside from the navigation elements, which are just kind of a given, is this weird little box here. What's this all about? Is it really the case that the only thing that you want users to do on this website is tell them how they heard about you? Tell you how they heard about you. Wouldn't it be better to ask them to contact you directly and buy some photos, and in the process ask them how they heard about you? I would suggest that it is. There are actually hyperlinks on this page. You can see them here. When you mouse over them, all you get is the changed cursor. You don't get any kind of highlight or underline, and they are practically invisible because of the fact that they are also grey, like the body copy. They're a slightly different grey, but I mean, it doesn't really stand out, does it? There is no call to action. That's the main problem. If you want people to do something on your site, and usually your site is either going to be making a sale directly or doing lead generation, and in fact usually it's going to be doing both, because about 80% of the people who come to your site for the first time, if they're interested in buying, are not yet ready to buy. So you want to make sure you capture those people and keep on selling to them further down the line until they are ready to buy. So having no call to action for either a sale or a lead is really bad. There is another issue here, which is Lake District Photography. Where is this going to take me? I don't really have any idea, because it's not actually a very, well, it's not a standard element on a navigation. Lots of things on navigation are very standard. For example, okay, news. feedback, cart, contact, even links to some extent. One assumes that it'll be a list of resources of some kind. Lake District Photography and UK, and even details and insights don't tell me anything useful. I don't know what I'm going to get when I click on them, which makes me quite disinclined to click on them. And there's a further issue. Once I click on Lake District Photography, if I click on through, it will give me, any second now, goody, a huge list of photos, which looks good. Like, they're all the same size and everything, so it's a nice list of thumbnails. I would suggest that that's also kind of arty, actually, that effect down the bottom. That's kind of cool. But I would suggest that there are probably a little too many here. You're going to spoil your user with choice, and he's going to end up not knowing what to click. However, if he does click on something, what you would expect is, when you click on this photo, it's going to load in a lightbox, and you're going to be able to see a bigger version of it. So what actually happens? Okay. That was not what I expected, and that is not the model that anyone is going to expect. It's okay to have a photo representing a larger album, but it needs to be identified in some way with an icon, set them apart more, that kind of thing. Once we click on a photo here, though, the same problem occurs in that I get taken to a new page. If you are loading up photos for larger versions, you definitely want to load them in a lightbox, which is just a little element that it's as if a smaller window opens inside your browser. It's all in HTML. It's not actually a window, but you can close it just like a window and it shows the photo. That is what you want to do, because that is this kind of accepted model these days, and getting your user to click back and forth all the time. Now I have to go to my back button, unless I want to click on the navigation, which frankly is confusing. It's just not a good way of doing things, because it makes your users click more buttons, and it makes them a bit frustrated with the design of the site, considering that lightboxes are so much easier to use and can scroll through photos immediately without having to go back and forth. Okay. Getting to D, desirability, this is where we run into problems. And the problem is, as I've intimated in the past, the very purpose of this review, that there is an issue between the copy and the image here, so that they are conflicting with each other rather than working together. It's very natural, and in fact I would strongly encourage anyone who sells a visual product like photography or web design or even paintings and so on. If you have those sorts of products, you should be displaying them prominently on your website, because that's what people are interested in when they come to your site. They want to see nice big pictures. That's great. However, if you try to include them all so that people are going to see as much as possible at once and still have enough space left for your copy, you are going to fail, because websites are not yet big enough. The resolution is never going to be high enough, because even if you could get a resolution that high, you wouldn't be able to read the text anymore. And you can see that problem here. This text is way too small. It's also set reverse, that is, it's white on dark instead of dark on light, which means that it's going to get read about 50% less. What you want to do, instead of trying to compromise between an image and text, is acknowledge that the image is the primary element on your homepage, or even on any other page if necessary, and diminish the amount of body copy. And I know that sounds a little bit anathema coming from someone who specializes primarily in copywriting, but it's true. A person coming to a homepage looking for photos already understands that this is a photography site. They don't need to read a huge amount of copy in order to be convinced about buying photos from you. They need to see a lot of photos to be convinced about buying photos from you. I would make this photo bigger, have it excuse me, across the whole page, like so. I would also have it in a carousel, so you can see more than one at a time, and you can scroll between them like magic. Then I would have a headline underneath, I would have a subhead, and I would have a nice big call to action, possibly 2 of them. Having 2 is good, because it gives your users a choice. Instead of saying no, they can pick another option. I wouldn't have any more copy than that. Users are not interested in latest news. They are not interested directly in free shipping, almost certainly. They're certainly not interested in the latest customer feedback. What they are interested in is testimonials, and you could feature that somewhere else. And most importantly, when you create your headline, don't make it Lake Distance Prince. That's district Prince. That's bad. What does it say? Nothing. Your users are not interested in that. Welcome to James Bell's collection of Lake District landscape photography where you can enjoy blah de blah de blah. Okay, whatever. Tell me why I should buy this shit. I want to know now. What is so important about this photography that I should stay here instead of going to another website that sells photography? So that's the important lesson for today. Have a call to action, have a strong headline, don't use tiny text, and look at the eye path here. Where does your eye naturally go? It goes here, right? Because this is the image, it catches your eye. Then you have to go back to read the text. That's crazy. What you want is to start at the left and keep moving right instead of starting at the right and move left. That's completely anathema to natural eye path. Make sure that your eye path works correctly. Never put image above text. Never put a text above image, sorry. Never put image to the right of text or text to the left of an image because it doesn't work that way. The image is always what you're going to see first and the text comes later. Okay. Do not be a victim of your images. And don't worry about the fold so much that you compromise your images and your text for it. If your images are your product, feature them prominently and cut back the copy. Save it for another page, it'll be fine. If the product's good enough and the headline and the call to action are strong enough, then users will click through. Don't worry about it. Okay. Do you have any comments, questions, or hate mail? By all means, send them through to nom@informationhighwayman.com. And if you're not already, I'm not sure how you found this because I haven't really advertised it anywhere else, but if you're not already, sign up to the Ace of Spades. It is free marketing content every weekday in your email inbox. Sign up now at informationhighwayman.com/ace. This is Denon Tennant wishing you a very happy weekend, and I will see you again next Friday.